Welcome back as we get to recognize some all-stars this Wednesday morning. Told you we're adding some more graphics. I'm excited. All right, we'll start off with all-star number one. A convicted felon in Florida who decided it would be smart, well, to go on social media and make a post of himself holding a handgun. Turns out, well, his probation officer was also on Instagram. Terry Christopher Flournoy, 23, was sentenced on Friday in Fort Myers federal court. According to court records, he pleaded guilty in December to illegally possessing a firearm. Now listen to this. Fort Myers police officers arrested Flournoy in April 2020 on an active arrest warrant after this wise individual posted a video on Instagram at a local restaurant. According to court documents, and that same day, prosecutors say the defendant, well, posted another video on Instagram of himself pointing what appeared to be a Glock pistol at the camera. Even better, during the arrest, officers located the loaded Glock. And, well, the defendant's fingerprints were found all over it after they did some data analysis on that. Hey, after the convicted felon, well, Flournoy, prohibited from possessing a handgun or firearm or ammunition under federal law, prosecutors said that the federal convictions include vehicle theft, firearm theft, and burglary, which, well, led to why he can't hold a gun in the first place. How stupid can you be? Yeah, here's a video of me just holding the gun while I'm on probation and a convicted felon. What about this? So... An escaped emu in England, well, put officers on the chase of a life. An emu named Rodney escaped from his enclosure at his owner's home in England, sparking not just a 30-minute hunt, an hours-long search involving his owner, police, animal rescuers, and members of the public. Wow. John Carty, 54, at Chedburg, said he was away in North Hampshire when he received word that his emu, Rodney, had jumped the fence and escaped while being watched by a pet sitter. Talk about a bad day for that pet sitter. Carty rushed back home and an hours-long search was launched involving the Suffolk Constabulary and RSPCA, as well as local residents who kept Carty appraised of sightings on WhatsApp. Carty said a video posted to the app led him to rush to a location about a mile from his home where he was able to lure Rodney into his car with some treats. The police couldn't figure that out. They just kept putting their lights on at him. Sudbury and Harville police posted a photo to Facebook showing an officer petting Rodney after the bird was safely returned home. Carty said Rodney has now been moved to the home of a neighbor with a taller fence, and he said the neighbor already has an adult female emu, and the owners are hoping the pair will hit it off and start an emu family. There you go. Bad situation turns good. Now listen to this. I don't know if this is an all-star award, but it is it is. And listen to this. As an ambassador for rats, it's never easy to win over the public. There's that hairless tail after all, but Runa at the San Diego Zoo is doing her best to counter the bad press. She is one of a handful of so-called ambassadors, showing off the virtues of rats at 3 United States zoos. The rats were provided by the Tanzania-based organization that is training African giant poached rats to combat wildlife trafficking, detect diseases, and perform other useful tasks. Now listen to this. At least twice the size of those common brown rats that are found in cities, African giant pouched rats like Runa are best known for ferreting out landmines and other explosive material on old battlefields in Angola, Mozambique, and Cambodia, earning the nickname Hero Rats. Efforts are underway to expand the use of their keen sense of smell to help people trapped in collapsed buildings, detecting disease in laboratory samples, and alerting officials to illegal goods at ports and airports like exotic animals. That's becoming a big, big deal. Now listen to this. 6 African rats completed their first trial working in the field in March. They spent a month at a port in Tanzania where they were tasked with detecting smuggled goods, including pangolins, the scaly anteater that's coveted by poachers and is among the most trafficked animals in the world. Trafficked. I don't know why. That was a typo on the prep sheet. Its meat is considered a delicacy in Vietnam and some parts of China, and its scales are used to make traditional Chinese medicine. So wildlife contraband is concealed among a vast number of shipping containers that annually leave the Dar es Salaam in Tanzania and other African ports. And Runa initially was trained to find landmines, and I actually saw a really interesting documentary on this. It wasn't even on Vice. It was a 60-second doc that was on Facebook Shorts going through. This is incredible. A woman is out there walking, and she trains these rats. She's walking with a rat on a harness, detecting landmines. I mean, talk about a job and a half. Wow. So Runa was initially trained to find those landmines, but she often got distracted on the job. She has been excelling, however, as an ambassador, said Kari and Sarah, who's the lead wildlife care specialist at the San Diego Zoo. Now listen to this. On a recent day, her trainers hid a small vessel of tea under the dirt in a box, and as soon as she's released from this cage, Runa's tiny nose was abuzz, twitching as she set out to work, and within seconds found all the vessels and was racing over to suck on a syringe filled with a pellet and banana smoothie. One of the most fun things to see is how she changes perception of people. Nikki Boyd of the San Diego Zoo and Wildlife Alliance said that rats offer an important tool to combat wildlife trafficking, which the zoo wants to highlight since the illegal animal trade is very destructive to the species that we are actively trying to save and protect in the wild. It's a quote from the zoo. I don't think there is an ability to scale this up. Or she does. Her quote is, I do think there's an ability to scale this up, but rats still have a long way to go to winning over everyone. Last week, of course, we talked about the rat czar, Kathleen Karate, a former elementary school teacher and anti-rat activist. Her new role as rat czar, as proclaimed by New York City Mayor Eric Adams, is, to battle potentially millions of rats lurking about the city and to, get rid of them. The city's Help Wanted ad for the Post stated it was seeking applicants who were, quote, bloodthirsty, possessing killer instincts, and could commit to wholesale slaughter of rats. That was the actual quotes in their press release looking for employees. At her first news conference on the job, Karate, standing next to Mayor Adams, stated her hatred of rats and vowed to use science to rid them of the city. Now, of course, we know that rats do spread diseases like leprosy, and which on rare occasions can lead to meningitis and cause the kidneys and liver to fail. And Izzy Scott, a behavioral research scientist at APOPO, which is training the rats to work for the government, said she was not surprised to hear rats had been named public enemy number one, but she wants people to know the full picture. Her hope is having an ambassador rat at renowned zoos like San Diego's will lead to more understanding and support the research for rats. Now, on the other hand, New York City spokesperson Fabian Levy called the city's rats dirty, diseased, and a public health risk that the city is intent on ridding itself using humane techniques where possible, but added, our priority remains our city's residents, not our city's rodents. Rats in general, Scott said, is actually quite a clean animal, adding that they groom themselves consistently and affectionately lick their trainers' arms after getting a good scratching. Here's my take. No, thank you. The rats can stay where they are. We don't need them. New York City's common brown rats actually share the same traits, but they have shorter lifespans that make them unlikely candidates for that training that those African giant pouched rats are getting trained on, because the African rats live up to a decade, whereas those ones that are in New York City, they only live for a few years anyway. A final quote, we think they make great additions to the zoo. She added that African rats help the ambassador program and broaden people's understanding of just how smart they are and how we can coexist with them. I don't know about all of that, but I do know it's 10 o'clock in the heart of the Riverbend. That's our first real All-Star Award, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. On this 19th day of April, a quick break. We come back with top of the hour news, and then we talk to the East Alton Public Library and so much more on this 19th day of April.